So in this section, we're going to look at the business to business marketing, and we're going to look around what the market orientations are, and then we're going to look at the different characteristics of them. You'll then also get an opportunity to actually look at it yourself. So you'll look at some examples that I'll give you, and then you'll look for some of your own. Okay. Marketing orientations. There are 5 marketing orientations. And if you remember back to your strategic management unit, you'll have covered Porter's work on market orientations, whether companies are internally or externally orientated. What we're going to do now is we're going to have a look at it and expand on the orientation within a marketing context, okay, whereby the orientation underpins the business model and ultimately the form of marketing that the company undertakes. And in this section, we'll go through the 5 orientations for a business, give you some examples, and then you'll have a chance to try it out yourself. So the first of the orientations is sales. So sales orientation is very much focuses on the majority of its resources on selling its products and services into its target audience. In a way, it prioritizes its customers, but not in a sense of listening to their needs and wants. It simply wants to sell to them. Okay, so it's very much a I sell, you buy transactional relationship. And that's what's really key here. It's very much I win, you lose, that hard selling approach. Very high pressure, very focused on top line revenue. So existing products are often given to the sales and marketing teams, and they're tasked to find buyers to those products, okay, wherever and whoever they be. So there's very little segmentation, if any at all. So there's no segmentation, it's just mass targeting. Here's a product, find someone to sell it, okay, to buy it. Many of the organizations feel that they are not selling enough of their products and therefore will adopt a sales-orientated techniques. And that's really key. So companies can often have an orientation, but when they feel under pressure and when they feel like they're not selling enough, they will adopt a sales orientation and go for that hard, undifferentiated sell. Okay, and that comes at a cost. So we'll have a think about that. So the sales orientation is very much about building its profit margins based on selling more. So driving that top line revenue. Okay, it's very short-termist, so it doesn't potentially look at the long term of where the market's going, what its needs are, because it doesn't listen to the needs of the customer. Okay, and by disregarding the customer needs in this way and adopting an aggressive outbound sales technique, it's an approach that rarely works in the long term. Okay, it's especially the case now that the general customer, regardless of the industry, is more empowered than ever. So which is why that's sales orientation, while it might work short term, doesn't work in the long term. Okay, because the company just isn't set up to provide that relationship in the long term. So that said, this isn't to say that organizations can't be successful with the approach. Okay, and actually what a lot of organizations do, they're now focusing on inbound sales and marketing. So it's very much about the customer driving demand into the organization and purchasing from this organization. That this is all based on the fact that the customer needs to feel empowered. They need to know enough about the product. So again, to have an inbound approach, you need to make sure there's enough knowledge out there for the customer to make a decision to then come to you, so that you don't have that relationship, but they know what they want, they know what their needs are, and they just buy the product. Now, their advantages are it does have immediate short-term sales. Okay, the disadvantages are very much around risks to the consumer confidence, costs, and it's not always sustainable. The next orientation is product and technology orientation. And the reason why I've moved from product orientation to product and technology is because a lot of organizations are now within the software field, the tech field, and it doesn't change the fact that the underlying principle of our product is so good it's going to sell itself is the key to this. So this is when organizations are often, again, internally looking, and they truly believe that their product is so good that why would people possibly not want to buy it? They have a problem, this is the solution, what more can you do? So it's very much focused on products and technical features. The organizations themselves are often focused around product research, development, design. That's where their expertise lies, and less so on that long-term sales and conversion and relationships. And its profits are created through technical prowess. Technology orientation companies often have a lot of products one after another. They're very much focused around making the most of their knowledge. To go on, it's sometimes assumed that a product orientation approach is similar to a production orientation. And we're going to come on to production orientation in a minute, okay? But it's exactly the opposite. This approach is where a business concerns its product and continually improving and refining them so that a product can always be superior to that of its competitors. So as the previous orientation was centered around price, often product orientation is centered around quality. Okay, and with quality comes an increase in price. So where sales orientation is all about getting the best possible price, getting a product sold, selling in high volume, this is very much about making sure that the technology is good, the quality is there, and that customers will buy it. Okay, this is often premium products. So this product doesn't always offer what its target market actually wants or considers the factors that it uses to form its purchasing decision. And what I mean by this is that organizations often build products that are gold plated. So engineers tend to put in more products, more features, make it the best possible mousetrap it can be without actually considering, does the customer want this? Does the customer need this? And actually, are we driving up costs unnecessarily? Okay. So you can improve things, but are you actually improving what needs improving, or are you just going for that gold-plated approach? So it's something to consider. It's really important. Quality is the key driver of success here. It often doesn't consider the external factors and focuses on manufacturing a high-quality premium product that's superior within the market it operates and competes within. Okay. The advantages of this is the focus on quality, innovation, skills, and development. And they often outsource as well. So often there's outsourced manufacturing, outsourced testing. There's a whole range of things that could be outsourced. But their skills are very much focused around the research and development, design, and having that innovation expertise. Often this comes at a cost of commercialization. Sorry, my dog just listened. The disadvantages of this orientation are the fact that they tend to focus so much on a product, they can be late to market. So they're so busy perfecting the product that actually the product isn't released in time and it misses the market. Okay, it can often become obsolete by fiddling so much, by improving so much. Often competitors can outperform them in terms of getting to market quicker. And there's also missed market opportunities because they are so focused on the product that they're actually not looking at all the needs of being considered, and as such they're not developing to them. Okay, I'll show you an example of this. I'm not going to make you watch a whole thing about the metrology solution. It scans it. But what I'm asking you to see in this is how it very much focuses on the product's ability to scan. You can see it touching on all the points. It's focusing on what the task is that it's doing. You see some key branding placement. So we know it's the Renishaw RenScan 5. Again, more product in action. You can see the size, you can see the complexity of the item that's being scanned. So again, it's really driving home that quality, those features. Okay, what you can't see here are the benefits. No, you can see the complex problem. Look at this complex. To scan that, it's a really, really complex curve, and to be able to scan it accurately is a real achievement. So again, Renishaw focuses on quality. Their stuff is world leading. The price comes with that. Again, complex things, but I'm going to scan to the end here. But the purpose of that example was to show you how it really is focused on those technical features and products. All about the technical prowess of the product. It's an amazing product. And this example of a scanning technology is a good one of a technology orientated company. Okay. So we've covered sales orientation, we've covered technology and product orientation. We're now looking at production orientation. A production-orientated organization commonly operates a mass production model, and this streamlines its production process for its product offering. Its orientation approach assumes that customers value price. Okay, that's really key. It's price that's important again. And therefore, it focuses on lowering its production costs to meet such price needs of this consumer base. So examples of this are things like volume, so scale and scope, increasing your scale and scope to get more volume through, which means you get the economies of scale effects come into it. And all of this has that key effect on the driver of price. So price is to be key offering, okay? It focuses on putting its resources towards its operations and positioning its key marketing communications on price-based messages. So it is all about getting that price down. There is an assumption that underpins the production orientation, and that is that price is king. However, it's not always indicative of the needs and wants of the target audience, as the approach doesn't actually require learning anything about the customer base. We can make widgets, so we're going to make lots of widgets. Anyone who wants widgets made can buy from us. Because we make so many widgets, we've got scale and scope going on, and economies of scale brings down the cost. That is the assumption that underpins the production orientation business. Advantages are you get the economies of scale, efficiency, low cost to customers. However, the disadvantages is again, this orientation disregards customer needs, and setup costs are usually high for the customer because they need to build in things like tooling, add in new lines, things like that. I won't go into the minutiae of that. This again is an assumption, and that some companies who do this well really do take the customer's needs into account in terms of actually, is it just price or are there other factors at play? So this example that I'm showing you here is of PCBWay. So this is a company that will produce a sample for you, but you can also, once you actually decide what printed circuit board you need, they can use their economies of scale to produce it for you. So this is very much the traditional production orientation. Okay. An example of this I'm also going to show you is from the tech and logistics sector, and that is of Amazon fulfillment. Okay. This example uses their existing capabilities of storage, transportation, and has their customer base and is applying it to greater market.
This is your e-commerce business. You've got a great product. You're busy handling all the things that make your business run, fulfilling customer orders, providing customer service, generating sales, sourcing product, and trying to grow. What if we told you there was a service that could make maintaining it all easier and could help you find new customers at the same time? Fulfillment by Amazon, or FBA, makes your products more visible to millions of loyal, happy Amazon customers while providing the world-class fulfillment, fast shipping, and acclaimed customer service that can bring your business to the next level. Here's how it works. You simply send your inventory to Amazon's state-of-the-art fulfillment centers located close to your customers around the world. Your products will be stored securely, and you can send us as little or as much as you want. When you use FBA, your products listed on Amazon become eligible for Amazon Prime and, in many cases, free Super Saver delivery, so more of your customers can get what they want fast and free, and more of our customers can become your customers. When customers buy your products, Amazon will pick, pack and ship them. With our European fulfillment network,
I'm not going to watch the whole thing, you can look at it yourself. But do you see how they're using their existing capabilities to offer an additional service for their customers? Okay, so they're growing their own customer base and their stock base and their inventory on the Amazon platform by using their existing resources for a new application. So market-orientated companies are very much where a lot of companies are heading, and that's to take into account the customer's needs, the wants, more access to information, and what the customers are looking to buy. Okay, so the advantage of this is that there's customer satisfaction, increased customer loyalty, continual investment and research into the product, the customer, what they want. So it's not a case of researching them once and then assuming they stay the same. Market-orientated companies do this naturally all the time, understanding their customers, looking at trends, looking at changes, okay, to make sure that their product is still relevant and focus its development on those needs. Disadvantages are the fact it is really reactive, okay? They're often not innovative and the market is always changing. You can bring a product to market thinking that it's going to be great, the customer's going to buy them, but by the time you get to market, the market has changed because actually the needs have changed. So it's a fine line to take. So that's something for you to think about. So the underpinning factor for it is that they aim to identify, anticipate, and satisfy customer requirements to our mutual benefit. And I really want to highlight the mutual benefit part of that. And we're going to go into in more detail in later weeks in this module, but it is not like the sales orientation where you're just trying to drive down that price or get that win-lose situation. You know, it's both companies in a market orientation understand that it's really important for the company that's selling to get a price that is sustainable, to get a agreement in place and management in place and relationship in place so it can be ongoing for both parties. Because in a business, once you start taking on a product, once you embed that product into your workforce, if the company supplying it no longer supports it or stops supporting it or go bankrupt or any of these things, you then have to change. You have to go through that process of finding a new supplier, go through a process of changing training, embedding new processes. It's tough. So it's really important that that win-win mutual benefit really does take place. And again, we'll go through this in later weeks. So it focuses on the customer needs and relationships with the customers. Marketing is often integrated. Okay, so it can be a blend of sales, it can be key account management, it can be integrated marketing communications, it can be social media, it can be digital, it can be print. It needs to be holistic. Okay, and its profits are through customer satisfaction. An example of this is
all kinds of people on all kinds of teams use Slack to do amazing things.
So that was an example of a market-orientated company's integrated marketing communications. They understand their consumer, their needs, their desires, what they need to do as a job. So we're going to use things like the value proposition canvas. They know their value proposition, they know what their customers want, and they build the product around that. One of the drawbacks from a market orientation is the fact that it's reactive. Okay, it's not always innovative, and the markets are always changing. So you do need to bear this in mind. But the advantages are increased customer satisfaction because you're meeting their actual needs and their communicated needs, and then really good customers also meet their uncommunicated needs. They have greater customer loyalty and continual investment in research, customer research. The final orientation is societal orientation. Now, this is an orientation that an organization, considering its product, processes, and its marketing to an extent that focuses on the impact the organization has on its products have on its societies it operates within and the wider environment. Okay, as people generally become more aware of their environment in the world, the societies that they live, the societal orientation approach has emerged. This has led to organizations having an organizational philosophy around doing good. Okay, having no harm, zero impact, financial, environmental, sustainability. Okay, the societal orientation, the societally orientated organization considers its product and its process, its marketing, to an extent that focuses on the impact its organization, its product has in the societies it operates within, as well as the environment. Ethical considerations are also incredibly key within these organizations, and so they've been highly popular within pharmaceutical organizations, life science, and technology increasingly, as there's a greater focus on technology companies being there for a force of good and not harm. In competitive markets, however, this approach can be really challenging to sustain, especially for small to medium-sized organizations, where the profits and customer satisfaction can affect how the organization executes its activities. Okay, and the benefits of it is that the image is very much enhanced. By doing so, it appeals to up-and-coming markets. It's ethical. However, like I said before, it is hard to sustain for small and medium-sized enterprises. They typically don't have the finance and the capital to be able to sustain the product for a long enough period for it to gain critical mass and gain mass adoption. And as such, often what happens is it starts up and then gets bought out by a bigger conglomerate. But this build to sell business model is not one that we'll be examining within this module. So the disadvantages of it is that the marketing message can sometimes be distorted. And if you've got a small budget, it's really, really hard to do. So you've got to weigh up the pros and cons. Now, there is an example within here, but due to the time, I'm not going to give it to you now. I mean, if you can have a look at the Skype example, there's a lot of companies heading this way, but this isn't one that we're going to look at today. But please do go have a look at it in your own time if you wish to. So just a quick recap. Okay, we were looking at the transactional view, and that's the transactional view of those sales orientations, product orientations, and to some extent the production orientation, but not so much. So the transactional view looks at the purpose of marketing is to make a sale. All right. The sale is the result, and that is the measure of success. So it's that sales and top line revenue. Business is defined by its products and its factories. So the business is all about its products it produces, how it produces them, and how it can get them out to the market. And price. I've mentioned it so many times. Price is determined by the competitive market in these instances. Often there's a lot of competition, and as such, price is forced down. Likewise, there's economies of scale that kicked in. I mentioned with a production orientation company. So price is important in these factors. Okay, so price is an input. If it gets too high, companies won't buy it. And again, it's because there's no expectation from the company beyond having that product in your hand. The value is in transaction, not in the ongoing relationship or the product itself. And the communications are aimed at aggregates of customers. So they're more about the mass appeal rather than segmentation, targeting, and positioning. The marketer is valued for its products and its prices, nothing more. Okay, and the objective is just to find that next sale, find the next consumer. Sell. Once someone has a product, move on. Buy, sell, move on. Okay. The other view, so this is more of the market orientation, the societal view, to some extent the production orientation, depending on the company. For instance, we mentioned the Amazon example that had more of a ongoing relationship with the customer, so that there are some that blur those lines, which is why I showed it to you, because it's an interesting example. So that relationship view considers the customer and the seller, the buyer and the seller, and the relationship between them. And the purpose of marketing in these instances is to create a customer, not a sale, a customer, right? There's a difference. You're focusing on the human here rather than the exchange of cash for product. So that's that customer. And that customer is the beginning of the relationship, and profit is the measure of success, that customer lifetime value, that long-term approach. So if you think of the sales orientation and the transactional orientation as the short approach, this is the long-term approach. And businesses are then defined by their customers' relationships. Okay, how long you have, your churn rate, what the average length of customer is, and so forth. And price is determined by negotiation and joint decision making. Right? Price is the outcome, not the goal. So again, with enhanced relationships, that all comes at a cost to both parties. The needs that are met, making sure that the product is more increasingly bespoke, and as is the relationship management that goes around it. As such, that price is an outcome. It's negotiated. Okay, so every customer may well have a different price depending on the levels of servicing, size, etc. that they have. And communications are targeted, tailored to individuals. So the marketing department might have a different message to the user, to the purchasing department, to the finance department. It comes down to those individuals, and it's tailored. And this is more than just, dear first name, such and such and such. It could actually be bespoke to their title, their job, their needs, their orientations. And the market is valued for its present and future problem-solving capability. So because there is an ongoing relationship, you are then in touch with your customer, you get to know their needs, things are changing. Remember, your customer will be in contact with your competitors as well, because your competitors will be trying to sell to your customers. So a lot of the source of your market knowledge and your competitor knowledge will come from your consumers, and you can't get it if you haven't got a good relationship. You want your customer calling you up and going, oh, you're never going to believe this and such person had just called me. They're offering me this. If that relationship's not there, it's not going to happen. They may just go and vote with their feet. Finally, the objective of marketing in the relationship perspective is very much about satisfying the customer you have by delivering superior value. And as I've said throughout this, that concept of value is very much what we will be looking at throughout this process. So there's the 5 market orientations and the view of transactional versus relationship marketing. We will go into this in greater detail in the coming weeks. So now we're going to do an activity, and we're going back to the live.